What kind of crazy person moves their whole life to a place where they know nobody because a horse wants to go home? So when I was living in Los Angeles, I went to this rental stable and I talked to the manager and I said, "You've seen me ride, you know my personality, find me a match." And he brings forth this tiny black horse and he just looked angry and beat up and a mess. And I was like, "Really? You really?" And I said, "I think I'm too big for him." You know, he was hungry, he was dehydrated. And the kid said, "No, I think this is a good fit." It's okay. We're going to go to where you were born. Today, finally, after 2.5 years of being here in Oklahoma, we are getting the opportunity to bring Arrow home. I'm a holistic healer. I do get psychic information. I can help animals, but realistically, how good can anybody be to find the story of a 22 or 23-year-old horse that has no papers, no nothing? Like, how do you find where that horse came from? The fact was, it really wasn't me. It was Arrow's persistence in his communication, because I actually was unwilling to listen to him. I was like, "You're nuts. We're never going to figure out where you belong. Like, how are we going to do this?" So I took him out for a ride. I'm still renting him. I started speaking to him and asking him his name. And it was Arrow. And I thought he was trying to say arrow. We get back to the barn and I told the manager, I said, "What do you guys call him?" Because, you know, he was trying to tell me. You call him Arro. And his eyes got really big and he said, "You're a bruja. We call him Arrillo." And I went, "Why on earth would you call him squirrel?" That's what it means in Spanish. When I told Arrow, "Do you realize they're calling you in the name of a rodent?" He was so offended and mad. I said, "Well, I think your star looks like an arrowhead, and so does the snip on your nose." He said, I like that name. I'm Arrow. I will take that name." The family that owns that whole rental stable in LA, they're horrible with horses. I knew it was abusive from the drop. I could see him fighting for space, and there were times that he would try to kill Javier, the manager. He would take a shot at Javier anytime he could, but he also realized that every time he took a shot at that guy, that he was going to pay for it. He was going to get beaten. I was hesitant about making the promise, but I said, "Okay, I'll get you out of here. I'll figure it out." I raised the money, and he leaped into the trailer, ran to the front, they tied him up, closed it. He literally, the look on his face was, "Let's get the heck out of here before these people change their minds." And then I found Amanda.
So whenever he came, he was still very cautious, and she told me to be very careful with him. He's a lot more relaxed here. He's more of a horse here. He's got a family, his herd.
Once we got that, it was the process of how we figure out who he is and where he belongs. I thought personally the key to finding Arrow's background was the hot brand on his backside. For 2.5 years, I put that brand everywhere I could find, and I could never find the origins of the brand. It made no sense to me. And then some cowboys in Cowtown, New Jersey, saw the brand and said to me, "You know, we've seen that brand on a bunch of horses that have been stolen over these past few years." And so a lot of times horse thieves, they'll brand the horse because people are less likely to question a horse with a brand than a horse with no markings at all. So then he started turning up the dial and said, "You need to find out where I came from. They're looking for me. His behaviors are too specific. His work ethic is too specific. This horse has a heart that just didn't come out of nowhere. Someone bred this horse." And I don't know much about this lineage at all. I knew he was a Spanish Mustang. okay, let's post on every Spanish Mustang site there is. And within like a week, that's when Jenny Sweeten private messaged me.
Gabby has a personality larger than life, so she sent several pictures of the brand and then one, profile image of Arrow. He has the exact profile that one of my stallions had. I had immediately sent him to Bryant and didn't give him any back information, just sent the pictures, forwarded them, and said, "Can you tell me anything?" And the message that I got back was kind of, "Where is he?" He said, I've been looking for him for 22 years or something like that.
Come on! Come on! Well, come on!
So when Jenny found us, she put me in touch with Brian, and I was sick over it. I said, is he going to want Arrow back? And he's a rare color. And I found out that these were Hidalgo horses from the movie, and they were special. And I just, how was I going to give up my horse? But I thought to myself, if part of his mission and purpose of coming home and it being discovered who he is was he wanted to be reunited with Brian.
You should have got a lot of trouble for an old has-been like me now. He was so special and real pretty as a baby. I didn't really want to get rid of him, and I really thought he was going to a really good home. Some people impressed me a lot, but they didn't know what to do, and they didn't have anybody there to advise them, and they just got rid of him. And I thought he'd went to another good home, but we've heard that he was probably in some kind of a horse stealing ring, and there's a lot of voids there that I don't know what happened or what he went through or what, I always wondered what happened to him. And I always said I didn't want to let anybody have him that would waste him. I didn't want him wasted. He was too good of a horse to be wasted, and I mean, just like that, somebody that didn't know how to handle him and be a friend to him and train him right, because I knew he would be a really world-class, I knew he'd be a good horse.
And the second reason Arrow wanted to come back to Oklahoma is because his herd of horses there's only 300 left. These Choctaw Spanish Mustangs, or the Oklahoma Heritage horse. These are the horses that are genetically tested, the only ones to go all the way back to the colonial Spanish era of the United States. These are what the Spanish conquistadors brought over with them.
The foundation for nearly all of the horses in America, other than our draft and our thoroughbred and our British pony blood, most of them come from these horses at some point, or these horses were instrumental in developing a lot of the breeds in America. I think they're just as important today as they were when they used them for the foundation horses to develop our American quarter horse.
Good boy, Arrow. Back up. Back up. You're close. You're close. Good boy. Good boy. Now you're going to step down, Arrow. There it is. Easy, son.
Well, he gets most of that out of from his mama's side.
I'm going to let you hold him.
I hold him.
It's all about you and him.
Well, I don't know much about him.
He remembers you. That's all he's talked about is meeting you. He might.
Brian, what is it like for you to see him after all this time?
Well, it's really good, I loved him when he was a baby. I didn't really want to get rid of him, and it's one of those deals where we get in a feed situation and a hay situation. I had to let him go along with some other ones that I didn't really want to get rid of, And I really thought he was lost and gone forever.
And Brian, I know how important you are to him. He let you kiss him He doesn't let many people kiss him.
I think he's enjoying this. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Look at them, they're lining up and looking him over. Look.
To go out with those stallions and command respect bolstered his confidence, bolstered his self-esteem, that he wasn't broken or less.
I wouldn't mind seeing him back on the mountain with his own little band of horses, you know. There's nothing better than that as far as I'm concerned. You know, if I could be there and make sure that he was left alone and nobody abusing him in any way, you know. The biggest challenge we have today and making sure these horses survive is having someone that is crazy as me and my wife for dedicating our whole life to their existence and our life savings. I worry about me not being able to be with them every day.
His feed route is over 90 miles a day. He's, 70-something years old, and the horses are in all these different locations. And then he has his own ranch to tend to, and he needs help there. So then you see the problem. When he goes, what happens to the 300 head?
Each horse eats 1 ground bale a month. That's 12 times 300. I mean, that's a lot of freaking hay, a lot of farmland that needs to be continuously created just to keep the feed on the horses, yet alone the vet work, the farrier work, the fence work. Because you look around and you see all of the creative heart that it took to create everything. All the welding, all the pins, all the wood, the stalks, the chutes, all broken down because he can't keep up with it. He doesn't have the help to keep up with it. Now it's all just going to go away because as soon as he croaks, then there's nothing else that's going to keep it going. And that's the heartache. All of this that he created and helped keep the legacy going is all going to go away.
Scratch your head and her tail. How about that?
I promised him he'll have a good rest of his life. He doesn't have to worry.
I think he knows that.
Thank you.
For everything. Thank you for all this. Thank you for all your time. I know how busy you are.
I really do appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate what you do.
How's it feel to say goodbye?
Oh, I'm kind of used to letting some special ones go, It's kind of like, as long as you know they're going to a good place, there's no doubt he is. So.
He got what he wanted from Bryant. Bryant even said it. There was something about him, even as a colt, even as a baby, that he commanded your eyes straight to him. He stood stronger, he stood bolder. He was definitely, look at me.
He did get validation from Bryant, and that's, I think, what he really, really needed. Before, he had the papers, he had everybody saying and voicing, but he needed validation from the one person who saw him as a colt that he was born with. And he got to spend his first year, however long it was that he was there, with that person before he was lost in the abyss. And he's relieved, I think, for sure.
He's truly my horse of a lifetime. I can't explain the relationship. I think you get 1 or 2 horses in a lifetime. One, if you're really lucky, that is your match, and that's your one. That's your special.